Now, when you were honest with yourself and had the courage and the strength to correct the mistakes that you made, and you tried again because you made a better choice, then you
Hi, welcome. What an honor to have you on the channel. I believe that in life we are here to serve a purpose greater than ourselves. But in order to do that the best way, we must start with investing in ourselves. I believe in you, and this channel is going to give you tools to help you overcome your challenges and light your path. Let's start. Hello, Grandma. How are you doing?
Thank God I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm doing perfect now that I'm here. Welcome to the channel. What an honor to have you here.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking.
Oh, of course. You were talking about ownership. I'll say maybe even extreme ownership. That in life we go through things and we should be honest with ourselves, and instead of pointing there, pointing here. I would love
Precisely so.
I would love to hear more about that. If you could share, like, what does that mean? If you could maybe give me an example of that ownership. What happens? Let's start one step before. What happens when you don't take extreme ownership?
Then you're opening yourself up to make mistakes and bad choices. Because then if you're not being honest with yourself, then how can you make a right choice if you haven't learned from what you did that turned out to be a negative? Then how can you make a choice, a right choice? You'll continue making bad choices, but then there's a consequence. Just as making a positive choice, there's a consequence of goodness. Making a no choice is a consequence. What will it be? More than likely, probably nothing good, because you didn't make the right choice. There's your gamble.
And so you're saying that if you don't take ownership of whatever happens, for good or for bad,
Right.
so you can't learn from it because it's not yours. And if we're in a bigger situation,
Much better put than I did. Excellent.
I'm the student. I'm learning from you, but I'm just trying to put it down. So it's not only that making the right choice, but it starts with taking the extreme ownership, because otherwise, doesn't matter what happens in life, we can't learn from it, and then we're dependent on everyone else except us. So you're saying that just to make sure extreme ownership, that's the tool that will help us move forward. Is that correct?
Yes, but I want to add something to what you just said. You're the student. I will make a correction to that. When God decides to put a soul into the body, when you're looking at me, you're looking at a house. That house houses the soul. When God says to the soul, okay, it's time to come back home, which we call death, the body then is not needed anymore. So from dust it was created, and it goes back to the earth because it's not needed. Now, the moment you are born, God gives you two gifts without even asking your permission. Two gifts. So the two gifts are, my best friend enrolled me in a university. Every soul that comes down into a body is automatically enrolled in a university. That university is called life.
Oh.
A very high-end university, because as we all know, life is filled with all kinds of opportunities, all kinds of good and bad, on purpose, because God also gives you the good book, the recipe of how to be a human being that is a valuable human being. And when I say valuable, has nothing to do with money at all. Money is not where it's at. If you want to leave an inheritance to your children, leave them a good name, a name that has respect, a name that has honor. That is priceless.
Wow. Oh, those are really strong words.
But that university does not end until God calls the soul back home. So you said you're a student? So am I.
You just now talked about the first gift, basically enrolling in the University of Life, which is, I think, an IV university.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well put.
then you said there's another gift. If you could please explain more about that.
The second gift is the power to make choices. Now, when you're young, you don't know yet to make positive choices. You make mistakes. But they're learning opportunities. Yes, they're a mistake. But then how are you going to learn to do proper if you don't make that mistake? You're not born knowing all things. You learn step by step, year by year. That's yours. You asked me another question. What was that?
I want to know, how can you learn if you don't take the ownership on whatever you do? Like
And
I'm not understanding
that is the University of Life. You've gone through all kinds of experiences so far in your life, negatives and positives. Now, when you were honest with yourself and had the courage and the strength to correct the mistakes that you made, and you tried again because you made a better choice, then you had a positive outcome.
And then you can make the right choice.
That's right. That's where taking ownership comes into play.
Wow.
Take ownership of everything that you do. And you will make mistakes. That's part of being a human being. None of us are born all-knowing. It's a lifetime experience. Immaterial of how long you live. How wise you will become will depend entirely of your honesty with yourself and taking ownership of all that you do.
Wow.
And learning from it. That's how you make good choices, by learning from the opportunities that you were given.
Wow. So doesn't matter what happens in life, what someone else does, whatever happens, something just now happened, right? So
Yeah.
You're saying take ownership, point the finger at myself. What can I learn? Not from wow, I'm so bad, and like knock myself down.
Right.
But ownership is not pointing out, pointing inside, but from a part of myself that says, okay, I want to learn. I want to take this a step forward. And
Excellent.
if we go to only one of the times that you're in a situation of life or death,
Mm-hmm.
when they had the gun pointing at you, if you wouldn't have taken extreme ownership, I think we all know the answer.
But I cannot take all the credit. Upstairs gave me what to do.
All good.
And may I interject, veering away somewhat from what you're talking about and we've been talking up to now? I mentioned a couple of times to you my best friend. Not all, but there are quite a few people that don't realize that they also have a best friend. Somebody will tell me, don't be ridiculous, there's no God. Well, I said, my life's experiences have shown me that there is. Really? Show me. No place can you show me. I said, are you breathing right now? Yeah. How come? What do you mean, how come? Because I've got air. I said, show me. I don't see any air. What are you talking about? Well, no. God is not visible. He doesn't walk amongst us that we can see. But because I know he's my best friend, I am blessed that I can hear him. And he hears me.
What is it, like he's in you?
Exactly. And because of my life's experiences, not just until 1945, throughout most of my life, I've had some tough choices to make. But I wasn't walking by myself. I had help. I'm not going to take all the credit. My credit is that I've got the wisdom to know that I'm not walking by myself.
Oh.
That's the difference.
I understand you're sharing the credit, and of course, God gave you that wisdom to take, I think, also extreme ownership.
I do.
And
I
make
do.
the right choices. So, can you give me an example of what would have happened? Just one example, if you wouldn't have taken extreme ownership and blamed the friend outside.
I would have continued with the misery that I was experiencing.
I think you made that simple. And
It is simple.
Instead of growing and having a good life, which had a lot of challenges in there, of
Yeah.
course, but you would have been, like you said at the beginning, you could have been mentally.
I could have, based on all my life's experiences and the challenges that I was given. And when I tell other people the things that I've gone through, and then I ask them, well, then what kind of a person should I have turned out? Not one of them said helpful, caring, loving, kind, giving. But that's the choices I made. Because I'm such a fantastic person? No. I want to make sure that the big boss is satisfied with me. I'm one of his children. And I want him to respect me and like me. And in order to do that, I need to know what his laws are and do that. And his laws, if we follow them, definitely will give us a better life than without those laws. So I've made my choices. Now, before we finish, if you're done with your questions, I do have one more comment to make, which has nothing to do with what we discussed.
You have one more comment to make. I would love to hear a lot more, but of course, let's hear this one. I'm
Thank
totally
you.
with you.
Now I need to speak to your audience. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard before how I said, oh, what I have to put up with. Let me tell you something. One of my greatest blessings God has blessed me with 3 sons. 7.5 years ago, he took my youngest son back home. But because I am very well aware that it's the body that went to the earth and the soul went back home, that I don't carry this heaviness. Well, actually I do. But it's not killing me. Where I used to say before I learned all this, that if God forbid anything ever happened to my children, I would go insane. But because I know there's a best friend for all of us, and because I know that a person who passes away in this life goes to what we call the Garden of Eden. By the way, that very much depends on what we do here on this earth. The better person we are, the better chance we have of going to that Garden of Eden. So, I'm looking forward to meeting my son whenever God is ready. Meanwhile, he also blessed me with grandchildren and great-grandchildren. This young man is one of my grandchildren. And may every grandmother be as blessed as I am with the grandchildren that I have. But this one is beyond exceptional.
Thank you, Safta, for the love. Sending lots of love back. I think that the messages that you gave here are amazing, and when people, in order to get to wherever we get to in the next stage, like you said, we need to take that extreme ownership, make those right choices, and
learn from the bad choices.
Exactly. I think that's amazing. So really, thank you very much for your wisdom. There's so much. This was only like a small part of it, but I really appreciate that. So really, thank you very much.
I thank you for inviting me. I also appreciate it.
My
being
pleasure.
able to share with you.
I'm looking forward for the next time.
All right. Thank you.
My pleasure. We'll see you soon.
You got it.
Hi, I hope you enjoyed the video and got some tools to overcome your challenges and light your path. If you haven't yet, please smash that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget, the most amazing things in life are the ones you take for granted.